This is Big Podcast.
Quick tip for you. If you got unused ad space, if you're an old schooler, you know this. College radio, you know this. Community station, you know this. PSA, they call it, public service announcement. This is something like, help control the animal population. Please get your cats and dogs spayed and neutered. Something like that. Something helpful to people. Anyway, something to think about. Do you do college radio, any kind of community radio? I want to know about it. Reach out to me, bigpodcast.com. I got a public announcement for podcasters coming up. It's Build a Big Podcast, the marketing podcast for podcasters. If you want to grow your podcast, get more people to it, make people care about it, make people pay you money or sponsors to pay you money, whatever. Just make money. Make something great. Get a great interview on tape. If this is what you care about, you're in the right place because all of these things are talked about here. This is the audio edition of my weekly newsletter. Not only do I talk about this stuff, I also write about it. You can find that at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. That newsletter, it's called Big Podcast Insider. It goes out every Friday morning, New York City time. And this is issue number 225. Here's what I'm talking about. A public service announcement. 2 USB mic inputs? Yes, we have the technology these days. How to automate your episode notes and social media. A serious question. And maybe most importantly, how to get paid. This episode of Build a Big Podcast brought to you by Riverside.fm, a virtual studio that makes recording and editing at the highest quality possible accessible to anyone. Speaking of college radio, man, back when I started, for one, I didn't have access to a studio. If I did have access to a studio, I had to bring my own tape. 1/4-inch magnetic tape. When I made a mistake, had to get a razor blade out, chop, chop. Literally chop out that tape and then get a piece of sticky tape, tape those loose ends together. That's what recording audio used to look like. Not so with Riverside. You're going to look and sound your best. It's got digital editing. In fact, a lot of the digital editing, automatic these days. You say, got a long silence. Riverside can automatically take those things out. And you're also going to sound better. We had tape hiss. Hello. You sound like an old 1940s radio DJ. Yowza, yowza, yowza. Not so Riverside. You're going to sound crisp and clear. Even if you've got a co-host, guest, the other people that you're working with are in different places around the world. It's recording locally in high-resolution digital, and you are going to sound like you were in the same room. I want you to try it. You can go to riverside.fm right now, get a free account. They're going to give you a couple of hours. Take a look, take a listen. Doing video, it can do that too. Everything you need to record, to edit, even to market via social media, the tools that I could have only dreamed of as a young college radio jock. Yours with a free account to try it out, riverside.fm. If you like it, you want to stick around for one of the paid plans, I've got a discount code. It's Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. That's riverside.fm. The discount code, Big Podcast, BIGPODCAST. Yowza, yowza, yowza. Here we go. Everything that I'm talking about, all about podcasting, all about growing your podcast audience, is sometimes it can be confusing when I go from thing to thing to thing. That is why you're going to hear this sound in between the things. If you want more information, you want to see what I wrote about it, you want links, you can go to newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. Are you ready? Yowza! A public service announcement. There's so much hype around Zoom products, and I'm talking about the company from Japan that does recording products. They did guitar processing back in the day. That's what I used them for. But I record everything on Zoom. This episode right now, it's being backed up on the Zoom F3. Had a Zoom F6 for a while, the Zoom PodTrack P4. Podcasters and musicians, we love Zoom equipment. Anyway, we'll talk about this PodTrack P2 here in a minute. This is the public service, though. PodTrack P2, any of the equipment that I'm talking about, all of it's good. But I want to be the first to remind you, I'm going to kick this episode off, is that you can make a great podcast for only $100. If you've got a decent mic, if you've got free software like Audacity, which, by the way, I'm also using to record this podcast. You got a basic computer you can run Audacity on? Great, man, you're good to go. You really don't need all this stuff that I'm talking about. That's it. That's the public service announcement. Now, sometimes it can make your life a little bit easier. I just talked about riverside.fm. It's a great tool, man. It's going to get in there, find some social media clips for you. The the ahs, if you've got issues with that, it can automate removing those. You can save time if you have a little bit of money. Great. But you don't need it. Don't get caught up in the thinking that you can buy your way into this. You cannot. You have to have the talent, the story, the wherewithal, the personality, regardless of the type of equipment you're using. And this is empowering. Don't take it for granted. If you got that grit, man, you have what it takes to make a great podcast. This is why I love podcasting. Right now, $100, let's say you're going with that budget. You can produce something great. And a single person can do the entire thing. And I'm talking about you recording something, editing it, getting it out into the world. Back in the day when I was a college radio DJ, I suppose I could record the thing, I could edit the thing, write the thing, whatever. Nobody was going to hear it. I mean, maybe if I dubbed a bunch of cassettes, pass those out one person at a time. But I needed a radio antenna. Like I said, I needed access to the studio. I needed access to the station. There was limited time, only 24 hours a day to run a signal. Podcasting, we don't have that stuff. $100, you are good to go. That's empowering. Do not take it for granted. By the way, I want to know what you're working on. If you haven't reached out to me via Blue Sky, I've got that link, newsletter.bigpodcast.com. If you're listening to me, if you're reading the newsletters, keep in touch with me, man. Let me know what you're doing. I'm always looking for good stories, not just for this podcast, not just for the newsletter, but for the books that I'm working on. Each book that I do, dozens and dozens of examples of independent podcasters. I'd love for you to be one. But you got to let me know what you're doing to make that happen. It's like Ed McMahon used to say about the Publishers Clearinghouse. You can't win if you don't enter. I got to know that you exist. You want that link to get in touch with me? You want a link to this Zoom PodTrack P2? I'm going to talk about it here in a minute. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. Hey, real quick, Big Podcast AMP. Let's talk about that for a minute. AMP, A-M-P, stands for Audio Monetization Program. This stuff that I'm talking about, growing your podcast, getting more people to your podcast, making people care about your podcast, making money with your podcast. That's what I'm going to help you do with Big Podcast AMP. It's me working with you and us working with other successful podcasters. I want you to be a part of it. Growing your podcast audience, getting people talking about your podcast and making more money with your podcast and also your podcasting skills. If you want the details, this is how to get them. bigpodcast.com/amp. That's bigpodcast.com/AMP. 2 mic inputs? What? Yes. Yes, it is possible. Thanks to the people at Zoom, it's a new piece of gear. It's $99 retail. They call it the Zoom PodTrack P2. It can make that happen. If you are somebody who uses a USB mic, maybe you got a couple of them, or maybe your buddy's got a USB mic and you want to record an interview podcast. Until now, it's been very difficult to do that off of a single computer. You had to get some kind of super nerd software, reroute a bunch of stuff. No more. $99, it's a piece of hardware. You plug 2 mics into it. It goes directly into your computer. It's more or less a mixing board, a studio for a single computer. It's very, very cool. AI noise reduction, tone effects control, EQ, de-essing, and a master compressor to make you sound like you're on the radio. I've mentioned this already. Zoom is my go-to brand for recording, specifically backup recording. That's what I use it for every single episode. But when I'm doing field work, Zoom is right beside me because I can count on Zoom. The recorder that I'm using for this episode, the F3, F stands for field, 32-bit float. I take the F6 with me when I'm doing a field recording. It's amazing, man. No noise floor. That means no hiss. None of that stuff that I had in college radio. None of that. Pure audio, clean audio. It gives me so much more to work with. It makes me sound so much better. Zoom is great, and it's going to make you sound great. If you want to see this piece of gear, $99. I've got it linked. I've also got a link to 4 different models of Zoom recorders, including the one that I use in this studio, the F3. You can find all of this at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. Don't sleep on Zoom stuff, man. If you need a backup recorder, if you need a field recorder, if you've got 2 USB mics you want to use on a single computer, Zoom is great, and it's not expensive. $100 for that one. It's going to get you where you need to be. So check it out, newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. Automate your episode notes and social media. This is something we used to have to do by hand. And it's good, you know, the way I used to do it. Episode notes, something we used to do by hand. I still edit my own podcast. This episode now, what you're hearing, it has been edited by me. Why? It makes me a better host. And the way that I used to do it, and this is still a good way of doing it, is as I'm going through that raw tape editing it, I'd write down bullet points for what's in the episode. After I had all those bullet points, put a front end on it, a back end of all the links that I've talked about. I'm also writing those down during the episode. Then at the end of the edit, I've got episode notes and I've got a clean edit of the episode. You don't have to do the episode notes like that anymore when you've got Cast Magic. This is a tool that podcasters are crazy about. I don't know why they're doing this, but they've got a lifetime deal right now. If you need a transcript, timestamps of episode highlights, maybe a LinkedIn post, Cast Magic can do that, and it does it automatically. DR, she's sometimes known as Mouthy Broad. She's got a podcast called Podcast Help Desk, and here's what she says. She said, there's a ton of stuff that Cast Magic does. I get quote cards, carousels, emails to send to guests, LinkedIn newsletters, infographic ideas, social posts, hashtags. It all depends on how you prompt it. It's like AI. You prompt it, but it's specifically made for audio, specifically made for podcast. It's worth a look. I've been using it for years. If you want to see how I use it, what I do for episode notes, podcast.bigpodcast.com. You thought I was going to say newsletter, right? Yeah, well, I'm going to. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. I've got this link for you. I've got more information about it. Cast Magic, it is worth a look. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 225. Serious question. This was a survey that was done. 55% of women say it's a red flag if a partner listens to Joe Rogan. Ladies, is that true? Reach out to me on Blue Sky and let me know. It's an old story, but it's a good reminder that a podcast, for many people, is a big part of their identity. You're either on the team or you're not on the team. Dave Ramsey, it's a local guy here in Nashville. I remember when he just had a local radio show, a self-published book. Now he's big time, baby. One of the top 5 syndicated radio shows in the country. And he's independent. About 5 million people listen to him a week, I think. It's a lot. Talks about finances. You're either on his team or you're not. You can't go out to eat with somebody who's on the Dave Ramsey plan. So nope, don't do credit cards. Nope, I pay in cash. No debt. I mean, they will not shut up about it. It's not enough for them to do it. They got to talk about it. You go back out of the restaurant, they go to their car. It's an older car, maybe a beater, but it's paid for, and they're going to let you know, yep, that's my Ramsey car. Paid for it in cash, no debt, no payments. You're either on it or you're not. There's no middle ground when it comes to Dave Ramsey. Your podcast might have the same thing. And that can be okay. People need an identity. They need something to go with. You know, we don't have situations like we used to where you're in a neighborhood, you don't get outside of that neighborhood. We've got the internet. You go to the local school, the local community center, the local church. We've got the internet. We drive places these days. People are more global these days. So we are not as community focused. We're looking for identity outside of that community. Maybe it's a podcast. Maybe it's your podcast. I got a funny joke about it. You can see it at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. If you're already doing this, by the way, do reach out to me via Blue Sky. As I mentioned, I'm working on a new book. I'm looking for examples of this. I want people who are for you or against you. They love you or they hate you. Either one. Are they on your podcast train? Or are they sitting on the sidelines watching other people do it? There's no money in the middle. There are no listeners in the middle. That's broadcast radio's job. Podcast, we have people who are really in. Do you have those people? Reach out to me. Let me know. Newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. Do you want those people? I've already talked about Big Podcast AMP, the audio monetization program. If you don't have them, in that case, reach out to me at bigpodcast.com/amp, bigpodcast.com/AMP. How to get paid. I've got something for you. It's linked. I've got it written out for you. It's a little more complicated than I can deliver via audio, but if you want to read it, and you do, go to newsletter.bigpodcast.com, issue number 225. It is about how to get paid via sponsorships. Let me give you the quick and dirty, though. You're going to start with a minimum. Is it worth it for you to be involved? What is that price? What is the very lowest sponsorship rate that you would even consider for your podcast? Maybe it's $50 an episode, $100 an episode. Figure out the medium. Somebody's going to come to you. How many listeners do you have? Maybe you don't want to talk about listeners. Maybe you got 50. Regardless, think about that minimum. Maybe it's $1 a listener. I'll do it for 50. Maybe it's $2 a listener. Do it for 100. I would suggest, probably something like that, $50 or $100 an episode. Because even if you've got 50 listeners now, if you're going out working your podcast, if that podcast episode is going to be out for a while, I know everybody's talking about, well, it's got to be within 2 weeks of the podcast being published. That's the only number that counts. No, it's not. No, it's not. You could have a podcast that's there a year later and your mention of a brand still worth it. A podcast, if it's done right and you're doing it right? Okay, cool. It's never going away. It's there and it's still going to be working for these companies that pay you. So get paid now. You're not going to go collect that money later. Get paid now. They're getting on the front end if you got a new podcast. They're trusting you. They're not buying the listeners you've got now. They're buying you and the listeners you got now, hoping that it's going to be worth something more in the future. I'm not saying don't give them a deal, but don't do this kind of thing like, oh yeah, it's $25 CPM. I remember the dude, this is a guy that I was working with. This is during COVID. And we were working on this project. This is for a broadcast network. He was like, man, we got to turn the money on because, again, this is during the COVID period. He was worried about what was happening. All his other advertising clients, they were going because this is a local thing. In local shops, they're cutting down. They're not advertising because they're not open. So he's trying to get anything he can get. I said, yeah, we can do it, but $25 CPM, that's cheap, man. That's a lot of work for us to get 1,000 listeners for just $25. And he said, I'm looking at like $5 a CPM. He wasn't even thinking $25. He's going for 20% of that. No, man, not worth it. It's not worth frustrating even 1,000 people with a bad ad to get $5. No. Make sure if you're going to put an ad on your podcast, sponsor, whatever you want to call it, that one, it matches what you're doing. Who am I advertising on this episode? Riverside.fm. Does that match what you're doing? Yeah, because you're a podcaster. You record podcasts, you edit podcasts, you do social media with podcasts. That's what Riverside does. It's a match. It's not like, hey, come down to the Horseshoe Casino. And, it's like, no. This podcast isn't about gaming. It's about podcasting. And that extra $5 CPM or whatever it is, let's say it is $25, not worth it to me because it's not worth it to you. I want you listening to me, not a Horseshoe Casino ad. Anyway, the point, the minimum that it is worth for you and the minimum it is worth for you to interrupt your audience's experience with you. I want you to think about the revenue that you want from generating your podcast sponsors. That's where I would start. But overall, maybe you've got a goal. Say, hey, I want to make $500 a month from this podcast, $1,000 a month from this podcast. Okay, how many episodes you got? How many slots do you have? Let's go back to that $25 per episode or $50 per episode. Okay, so if I'm going to do 5 episodes a month, 5 episodes, 2 $25 slots, $50 an episode, that's $250 a month. Double it, $50, $500 a month. Could you put 4 slots in there? Yeah, you could. $1,000 a month. It is possible. Should you put 4 slots in there? Arguably not. But if your podcast is long enough, there's space for 4 slots in there. Think of it like that. How much per episode and how much overall? And are you ready to do this? When you've got a sponsor, you're saying 5 episodes a month. Yeah, man, you better get on it. You can't just be like, I'm not going to do an episode. You got a contract. Not to go too deep into this, make you thinking about math as you're listening to this, but if you want to look at how you can get paid, see it in writing, come up with the numbers yourself and come up with what you're willing to do to get those numbers, I've got a link for you. It's at newsletter.bigpodcast.com. This is issue number 225. There are opportunities in podcasting. If you want to talk some of them over with me, yeah, man, let's do it. I talked about Big Podcast AMP. That's the cheapest way for you to work with me. That is something that I do for independent podcasters because I like working with independent podcasters. I mentioned working with these broadcast companies like this guy during COVID. That costs a lot more than Big Podcast AMP. That's where the real money comes in. I do Big Podcast AMP because I like it. And that comes from my background in music. You might have heard me talk about that. I loved working with independent bands. It was life-changing for me to take a band from 0 records sold to 10,000 records sold than it would have been from an act that might have 100,000, take them up to 1 million. 0 to 10,000, life-changing. That got them on the road. That got them doing what they're loving to do. Same thing for podcasters. Let's get you in there. Get you in the arena, man. Making money, spreading a message, because that's really what this is about, isn't it? At least with most of the guys that I work with, it's not about money. It's about spreading a message. It's about the lifestyle. It's about waking up being like, damn, I can't believe people pay me to do this. I love doing it. I would do it for free. And a lot of you guys are doing it for free. Do you have to? No. No. You don't need to. Now, I'm not one of these guys like, man, you got to get paid. You got to do this. You got to charge for everything. No, not that. I talked to a buddy of mine. This is the first time I'd ever heard this, but this explains a lot of the people I dealt with in the music industry and really just people in general. This is a guy who had been addicted to some substances. Let's just call it that. And he said, I never realized until I got clean how every single thing that I did when I was around addict friends, if they did one thing for you, they wanted something back. And that makes sense, right? They were addicts. They were looking for money for whatever their drug of choice was. I see a lot of people in the podcasting space, unfortunately, they are like that. They do one thing for you, they expect one thing back. I put you on my podcast, you've got to put me on your podcast. You ever had that? You probably have if you're doing an interview podcast. Let's do an interview swap. No. Interview swaps are the worst. Just because I'm a good guest for your podcast or you're a good guest for my podcast doesn't mean there's a flip side to those things. There may not be. So just to be clear on this, wrap this up in a nice bow. Yeah, get paid. Get paid what you're worth, especially if you're dealing with a company. If that company is making money, you don't need to give it away to them. Let them pay. You are allowing them to make more money. Take a chunk of that. But there's also a nice middle ground. Just because something benefits people, it doesn't mean you're giving away the store, and it doesn't mean that both people don't have a secondary payoff that's not money. Don't treat this thing like an addict, where everything somebody does, there's got to be this payoff. I'm going to leave you with this story. This is kind of what that pieced together for me. I've got a friend of mine in the neighborhood. He's an addict, and I'm going to leave it at that. I see the dude when I'm walking the dog down the street. He goes, oh man, I got some lawn stuff for you. Got some lawn stuff. He called it irrigation. And what it really was, it wasn't irrigation stuff. It was hoses, maybe some tips on the hoses for you to water your lawn. He said, look in the back of this truck, see if you want it. I said, yeah, maybe a hose or something. He said, all right, I got you. I really didn't want it, but I wasn't going to argue with him. I thought, maybe I can use an extra garden hose. I get back from the dog walk. The entire back of the truck is dumped in my front yard. And it's a bunch of sprinklers, a bajillion hoses, soaker hoses. I'm like the sprinkler section at Home Depot now in my front yard. Like, oh man, now I got to deal with this stuff. I see the dude around. It's a neighborhood guy. Like I said, I'm out walking my dog. He's a friend of mine. Not a guy that I'm hanging out with outside of the neighborhood, but I got his number. He comes out, hangs on the front porch. We've got that kind of relationship. And for him, there's a deal to be made for everything that he does for me. And I learned that. He goes, man, I gave you all that stuff. You didn't even give me anything back. It's like, dude, I thought I was taking it off your hands. I didn't realize I had to pay you for every little thing. What? I didn't even want the stuff. I just wanted the hose. Don't be that guy. Dumping on something, thinking everything that you do deserves money. It doesn't. Make it worth money, though. Then make sure you get paid. That's my final thought on that. You want to talk more? Bigpodcast.com/amp, bigpodcast.com/AMP. It's the audio monetization program. Happy to work with you on this stuff. Now, let me wrap it up by saying that if you are not subscribed to this podcast, get subscribed. This is what I talk about all the time. Growing your podcast, getting more people to it, making a podcast that matters, and making money with your podcast. You can do this by going to bigpodcast.com. I've got the buttons there for you to make subscription easy. It's free, and one click is all it takes for iPhone, Android, or subscribing via RSS. That's it, bigpodcast.com. How easy is that? Do it now, right now. Do it. You doing it? Bigpodcast.com. Go there right now before you forget. And I'll see you on the next episode of Build a Big Podcast.